Yes, back again. That's right. Coffee break. Coffee break is back again. I saw y'all. I saw y'all through the window. Y'all thought I wasn't looking. I saw y'all. You know how when Dad gets home, y'all better act right. You better find some act right and Such a monkey. Have a seat. You ready? Well, hello. And welcome to Coffee Break with JN. We are back. All are welcome. All are welcome. Yes. Motown Philly back again. Jared D says, I like the new countdown too. Isn't that interesting? I had nothing to do with that. I was like, yo, what's that? This kind of frightened me. Well, hello. Yo, let's do a roll call. We're getting right into it. Yo, Carlos, shit. Look, there's look at that. It's like a multiverse going on. Well, that's Bowfinger. That's what was Eddie Murphy's name of Bowfinger? Wasn't his name like Rip or Flip or Trip or something like that? And then there's also Carlos behind me. And there's a real Carlos on the screen. What's up, Carlos? Sean Chai. Hello, hello, hello. I call Shogun. Whoa. Yo, I see Suze. What up, Suze? I see Paul Pate. What up, Paul Pate? Who else snuck in here? I see Matt Waringo of the mighty Waringo Dynasty. Hello. Who else is here? Show yourselves. Matt Haley. Matt Haley by my stars and garters. Hello, Matt Haley. Nice to see you, brother. Welcome to Coffee Break. Let's see who else snuck in here. Yo, I see America. This is you. Tom Zoller. What up, Tom Zoller? Who else is in the building? Make yourselves known. Reveal yourself. Yo, Joseph, hello. Live chat. Here we come. Hello. Ronaldo. What's up, brother? Good to see you. That's right. You're soaking in it. Welcome back to Coffee Break with JN. Let me clear the screen, you guys. You guys. Yo, Christopher is here. Hello. Matt Haley, that's a name I haven't heard since. Yeah, it's easy. Hello, Robert Alvarez. Nice to see you, sir. Love the show last night. Thank you so much, and thank you for contributing. Good to see you. Chris Eliopoulos. Hey, is that my watercolor on your shelf? Yes, it is. All the way back there. There it is. Thank you so much, Chris. It was very, very sweet of you and very nice of you. And that's when we first met. Guys, you know Chris Eliopoulos, world famous author, cartoonist, letterer, man about town, who's one of my new best buds. Because we know, guys, if you're friends with JN, I may be your best friend. Yes, Chris, thank you. Welcome to Coffee Break with JN. Let's see. What up, Ski? Not a surf. There's a lot of people here. Guys, we had a great show last night. That's right, best buds. Hey, Chris, you have to answer an email for me. I know you might still be on tour, but I need to ask you a question about NCS stuff. You guys, look at the numbers tonight. I see you guys are packing in. You're packing into the rafters for Coffee Break with JN. You know, I have to sit in the corner before this sometimes to do some box breathing. You know, inhale, hold, exhale through the mouth. Do that for a couple of minutes. Because you have to prepare for this, you guys. You know, I don't have a script. I don't have notes. I don't have show notes. It's just me, a cup of coffee, and my caffeine. You know who you are, caffeine. Let me do my first joint of the night. Man, I gotta reorganize this. Caffeine, you know who you are, caffeines. Friends and regulars, not decaf with Coffee Break with JN. You know the way I get about on these things? People forget I'm a cartoonist. They're like, bro, but where's the artwork? There's the artwork. It's right behind me. See, I think people have it twisted. Since this internet age where people have video cameras, I think people thought, oh, well, you are a cartoonist, right? Well, draw for me. No, you buy my book. Yeah, I mean, there's my characters behind me. You know I do this stuff. You see the hand. Um, and I think I may be breaking a matrix when I do this stuff. Because this is what I do, right? You know, you we're people of many talents. The iceberg, I like my iceberg analogy, right? And how JRD, oh JRD, did I say hello to you? Notorious JRD, hello. If I missed you, I apologize. JRD, how long has Coffee Break been on? Like 6 years? That's a lot of talking, y'all. Has it been 6 years? It's close like that. Christophe, bonjour, mon ami. What's so called coffee hands up, right? And you guys, a lot of you guys know that I struggle with this. It's kind of like, are you kidding? That's right. JRD is the keeper of the facts. He's the keeper of the scrolls. Feb 2019 on Facebook. And I've still been at it. And I have not once been on here drawing circles. Nothing wrong with that, right? But you drew that? You drew that? Yo, that look real. But I want to maybe give you another facet of my decahedron, right? And that facet is this. People are all over YouTube. A bunch of cartoonists have their little things where they're like, "Hey, I'm going to draw live," and there's like Guitar Hero on the side of the Guitar Hero chat on the side of the screen, and they're like drawing a Batman face. Great. I know that's what your fans want. I get it. You know what I'm saying? But like that's not how I communicate, right? Because I will posit to say a lot of those cats, if you had to actually just sit down and go, okay, well, let's talk about something, and they might be like, "Mm," right? I don't think those personalities, like Mike Manley likes to say, would get to 6 years of doing a thing like this. So I just want to put it out there because like I have struggled, and I've told some of you guys this in the past. Like I've lost some friends from just the way I do my business. People have said to me, yo, you gotta this, you gotta that, you got a channel, you got this. Yo, where's the artwork? There's the artwork. That's just not what I do, right? Because, and that's thank you, JRD. That's what Ashley Stream is for. And if you join my Patreon, you can see that. And I have a very specific moment that I do that kind of thing. I love to draw. I love to draw, but drawing and producing a show and talking all at the same time is at the limit. It's like at the limit of my superpowers, and I don't find joy in juggling all those things. That's why I don't do it all the time. But this is a natural extension of me. Thank you guys. Sue says we need a Leon TV show. We should talk. Sean Chai says difference between pros and amateurs, maybe. Pros stop drawing on a coffee break, but that's what amateurs get to draw. Yo, real rap. Y'all know what it is. From morning to night, I'm in this chair. So, you know what? But you guys let me know. Thank you, Christoph. Nothing is impossible. You guys let me know. Any of you guys feel like you're missing something by not watching me draw live? Put a one in the chat. That'll be our first ones and twos of the night. Let me find my ones and twos. So if you think Jamar should be drawing, and I can't do coffee break and draw at the same time. Or do you like it the way it is? Put a two in the chat. Let's talk about it. Ronaldo says, I'd buy multiple sets of Leon figures. Oh, yeah? Yo, I'll hold you to that. Yes, yes. 22, yes. Thank you, Chris. You know what, and I need to sometimes I just have to, like, shock the pool, right? Sometimes I just gotta make sure I gotta test, I gotta get the pH kit out and test and just make sure we're on the right page. Yo, Steven, hello, brother, good to see you. Much respect to my man Steven. Matt says, "What's the number for do what you want?" That's 3. Ah, Chris might be onto something. That's right. I've that in, that's I've that in blood. Shogun says, "I'm doing dishes and heard about 3%. If the question sells a 4, I'll take it." Ronaldo said, "To infinity plus 1." Um, Christoph says, "When you draw, I can't really talk because I do the sound effects or hum the ambient music of what I draw." Charity says, "Besides the title, this is your break, right? It's in the title. You're soaking in it. This is what it is." And guys, also I want to thank everybody for tuning into the JNN Jamar Nicholas Network. If you're watching this on, oh, I'm missing one of my assets. If you're watching this on the Book of Faces, salute. If you're watching this on the Tube of You, salute. If you're watching this, possibly I stream this in 3 different places. I stream it on my personal Facebook page, on the Pencil to Pencil Facebook page, and also on the Pencil to Pencil YouTube channel. I think some people still have it in their mind that since they were like on Facebook and they saw something live with me on it, drinking a cup of coffee, and they're just like, ugh. They think this is like a Facebook Live thing. This is not Facebook Live. I'm coming from many directions. Pause. Right, and this is a professional production. Look at the production. So I just want to put that out there. And if you've kind of stumbled across this because you were checking out one of the Pencil to Pencils, great. I think the audience is maybe a little bit different, but I don't know. You see, but a fraction of me, pause, on Pencil to Pencil. That's another aspect. Like I'm not drawing on that. We have guests. I'm talking to Mike. I'm talking to Stone Cold. I'm running the boards. I'm producing the thing. I'm trying to make sure we get out of here on time. Producer JN, stand up and be counted. So this is kind of like our break. You get to get a little bit more of my personality and see how I do business and perhaps just fall in love. So thank you. So, let's see what's going on in the chat. Madge, I soaked in it. I have some 80s stuff for us today. That's right. The Tube's View. Yoons to y'all, y'all tube. And this is funny because I had been kind of clipping coupons. I have been saving all these images on my desktop for like a week, and I was like, because I know this is a coffee break week, and I was like, yo, I wanted to kind of talk about a certain thing tonight. But one of the cool things about coffee break is that it just kind of takes on a life of its own. So let's start off by talking about last night. So if you guys saw last night's Pencil to Pencil, put a 1 in the chat. And our good buddy Robert Alvarez, you should check out Robert's interview that we did with him last year. It was fantastic. We had our good buddy Joe Murray on, and Joe Murray is the owner and proprietor of Captain Blue Hen Comics in lovely Newark, Delaware. Go Blue Hens. And also the president of Comics Pro, the professional retailers organization for comic book store owners. And what a great show. I think I hate to call shows. I hate to say, "Oh, this was the best one," because I think they're all great. You all great, but, I thought last I'm sorry, I'm kind of like ADHD, I'm trying to find something. Um, but I think last night's was really good. Tell us what you thought. Yeah, that's great. Shanche says, "Your show, your rules. You should connect with the audience the way you want to." Thank you. Then you'll draw an audience that's right for you. You got it. You know what I'm doing. Yeah, so a lot of people tuned in yesterday. That's fantastic. Um, I like put ones in the chat. Jared D says, "Oh, sorry, this chat is jumping." TZ said it was really good. Like the last two have been really fantastic. Thank you. Jared D says, "Last night was such a flashback for me because a lot of us know our lore. I love that the kids have taken D&D stuff on again." JRD's lore is that he at one point ran a very successful and popular comic book store in the DMV area. So we talked to Joe and we talked about the business. Chris says, "I missed it. You missed it. Was it all doom and gloom about the industry?" No. And I will say no very strongly because if you guys, because this is like the Jamar hour, I think a lot of you guys know at this point that I'm very even. I'm a very even dude. I'm not a sucker. I know that the world's on fire, everything's to shit, but I try to find a glimmer of light in the darkness. I'm a point of light in the darkness type of person. So it does nothing for my soul to complain about the things of the world for an hour and a half on a on a podcast. But I know people like that. People are like, "Oh, this sucks, that sucks, everything sucks, blah blah blah." And what we talked about was not that. It wasn't that. You're welcome. It's just, and even if sometimes it seems like I'm Switzerland on a lot of our conversations, it's not because I'm playing a role. Billy Bob. It's because we need balance. We were supposed to be brothers. You're supposed to unite the. I messed it up. You were supposed to unite the galaxy, not whatever, not join them. Um, Tom says, "If I want doom and gloom, I can just listen to the voices in my head. Word up." Um, but yeah, I mean, we just talked about like very matter of factly, like what are the real things that happen, the machinations of running a comic book store. And I always like to cut away the fandom. This is what Pencil to Pencil's about. It's about stripping away the the veneers of what you think it is, and you actually talk to real, that's right, pitch me, I must be dreaming, experts. So we talked about the complications with inventory, and inventorying and keeping things moving in a system that's not made up for it. Like, a comic book store is not a Barnes and Noble, right? And periodicals, not floppies. You heard what they said. Don't call them floppies. Uh, have their own issue, pun intended, just to keep moving. And then I wanted to bring this up, and I thought this was really interesting, especially for everybody that's been in the comic book shop. Is if you have a pull box, the bugaboo about retail, comic book world, is that those things are non-returnable. So if you tell Joe Murray you want anything that has Batman on it that comes out this month, and he puts it in your little cubby hole, you got to buy that stuff because he bought that for you, or he pulled it for you, or whatever. And you can't go, and when you show up 5 weeks late and like, "Yeah, man, this is like $200. Can you put that back?" No, right? And I think that's where it's like, oh, come on, bro, be a buddy. Messes up the business. And I think a lot of people don't seem to understand that. I had a pull box back at my old comic shop at the mall. At one point, I was like, I can't afford this stuff anymore. I just want Savage Dragon. Shout out to our boy Eric Larson. I just the Chris Eliopoulos. I just need my Savage Dragon, and I'll just come through and cop my Savage Dragon. I'm out. I'll read that on the bus going home. But you're costing that shop a lot of money when you don't come get your shit. And like I said on the show last night, there's a lot of retailers that have been putting up their like shame stacks. It's crazy. Right? It's like, see this stack? We just pulled out we purged all of the pull boxes of people that didn't get their stuff. This this magnificent feast represents the last of the petty cash. This giant mountain of comics is like $7,000 that I can't get back. Will you please come get this stuff? And then when the comic shop closes, everybody's like, "Oh man, what happened?" Oh, you know what? They always suck. Like y'all did that. JRD says the day a comic shop opens, it's at least 100,000 in the hole. So good, like yo, for real, for real. JRD says non-returnable, and shops have to buy them 3 months in advance. Right. So they're kind of looking at you, and it's not. I'm not blaming everything on people who don't clean out their clean out y'all boxes, y'all. um, but it's a big part of it. It's a giant part of it. And I will say at this point in my life, I don't go to the comic shop. Shout out to all the magnificent comic shops in Philly. I go in if around. I do a lot of store signings. I like to support, but I don't actively collect comics anymore. But when I did, I understood, and I was one of those people. Like I kind of got dressed down by one of the dudes once. I was young. JN was like full of piss and vinegar, and they were like, I got that phone call from Ricky, and Ricky was like, "Yo, you gotta come clean this out." Like, all right, I'll take a check. That's when people wrote checks. So anyway, it was a really fantastic episode. You should go back and watch it. I know a lot of you guys are like, "Oh, I missed it." No, you didn't miss it. You could go back and watch it now because it's there. It's still there. So yeah, and also to what TZ said, the week before we had the three C's that we talked about, which was great. We're getting old. Yeah, I still write checks. So let's see. I want to make sure I didn't miss anything. Billy Bob says every other corner of the internet is filled with negativity. So I'm glad Pencil to Pencil is one of the places that isn't. Yeah, that's really just how I'm wired. I do not have the energy nor the interest of complaining with people on the internet. You guys know all the firestorms that have happened on Facebook and whatever over the past ever how so long. Have you ever seen my name in any of those threads? No. I know some people. I know a lot of other comic book pros who they clock in like Fred Flintstone at the plant to type on this shit. For what? I see a lot of like big name writers and artists with these screeds, these walls of text about whatever they need to respond to. Bro, I'm not pressed. I'm really not pressed. And because I just kind of live in the thought that you're never really going to change anyone's mind, and all that other stuff is just psychic damage that's ruining your reputation. Right? I'm not getting into flame wars with fans. I'm not like bitching about the new trailer for some movie. Like, what? What are y'all doing? So, but yeah, I appreciate that. I'm just like, come on. Yeah, we're real rap. Chris asked, "Did you talk about the clientele? There seems to be an age group, a type of comic, and what sells. All ages stuff doesn't sell there. It's frustrating." We talked a little bit about that. We talked a lot about that. We didn't talk about that kind of gap between all ages stuff in like bookstores. Like that's gonna that could be its own episode, and we're gonna have Joe back. But I mean, you know what's funny? You brought that up, Chris, because in the chat people were talking about. I think Judd Winnick had a signing of somebody's area, and they were like, it was lousy with kids. The kids were all over the place. That's fantastic. Those two things don't translate in the comic book shop. I think a lot of it is, and I've said this a million times. I think, and this is no knock. If your LCS has a fantastic kid section, awesome. If they don't, then this is what I'm talking about. A lot of comic shops are not set up for children. And I know that seems so backwards when I guess that's what the comic shop was for, right? At some point, this isn't where we are anymore. I also think, and Chris, you know this, is that, and JRD can possibly chime in on this, that tag all ages is a comic store thing. Because I think it's just, I mean, they just don't have the wall space or the racking space to break things down into categories like the bookstore does. So, like, if you go into Barnes and Noble, they don't have an all ages section. They have this, they have that, and they have that over there. So, not to get lost on a point, um, you go into a lot of shops and you have anything, I could give my kid, oh, there's some sun bleached Archies over there and some Sonics, and they're like, all right, let's go to the bookstore. You know what I'm saying? So I think it takes the energy of the shop to really push that. If you make it an inviting space, maybe there's like little tiny furniture in the corner for the kids, or even, for families. Because that's like, if I owned a comic book store, I want families coming into my shop, not just those 8 regular dudes who stay way too long and don't buy shit and they kind of smell. Less those dudes and more people who are just going to like maybe continue the hobby with their children. And if you don't give them things, they're not going to come back. If it doesn't seem inviting, they're not going to come in. If you've got that whole like vibe that is off-putting, which is really changing, and we talked about that last night too. Like the clientele has changed considerably over the last 2 decades. So if you have people getting chased out of your shop, that's on your staff. Correct your actions, fix your face. I see you, Tom. So, oh wow, I missed a lot. I was monologuing. Billy Bob says people deliberately go on the internet to argue. When you realize a lot of people enjoy making people mad, the more peace should be. Cheers. Yeah, right. It's like people are in there like writing straight up novels. Like, yo, go draw your pages. What up, Big Red? Big Red says you win by being a positive influence. Thank you so much. I really appreciate that. Steven says, I really enjoy all ages stuff as I get to read them with my girls and share. And thanks so much for the shout out for Worst Friends. Eyes Are Weak also is how we promote a lot of them. At least I try. Yeah, you're doing right by us, Steven. Thank you so much. JRD says, customers and retailers are afraid of the term all ages, which drives me nuts. Paul Tobin perfectly described all ages to mean accessible. Like, I get it. But I've said, in not in defense, I guess on the other side of that is that even when you go into Walgreens, it's just not stuff on the floor and you got to root through it. It's like over there is, you know, medical supplies, and there's like alcohol wipes, and over there is if you got the flu, the stuff's over there. So just saying, there's medicine. Welcome to the medicine store, and it's just pills rolling around on the floor. It doesn't work. Like things have to be categorized. Billy Bob says people complain that kids are online too much, but then get mad when they're in spaces like comic shops or the mall or at the park. I don't get it. Yes, right. So, but I mean, I think there's also a thing there, right? There's a thing at, and I've seen it a lot. If you go into a place and there's a like a young family or maybe somebody and their kid comes in and they just kind of like treat the comic shop like it's Chuck E. Cheese. And they're just like, all right, see you in 20 minutes. And they just run to the left and just start ripping shit up. You got to get out of my store. You know what I'm saying? That like that's not what this is about, right? But also, right? It's like you got to police your own kids, right? But you know, but also again, it comes back to the retailers, right? If you were like, hey, I have this store that's at the mall that has kids in it. Kids are going to come into my store at the mall, right? If you don't like kids and you have a store at the mall and you're just like, I'm not going to put anything in here for them, so they leave. I don't know how long you're going to be in business. It's a business, man. Chris says it's crazy because if stores have graphic novels like Dog Man, Smile, Leon, they would sell. Yeah, and don't get me wrong, a lot of shops do. Like they'll have a little thing over there, but it's not really like celebrated. It's not like, yo, boom. Like if they I know a lot of what I forget what they call them. Dumps? Jared Krasoska knows what those are called. Like say when a new Dog Man book comes out and there's an end cap, like the cardboard thing that's just nothing but shelves of the new Dog Man, and that's like sitting on the end cap at Target. If you put that at the comic book store, if you requested something like that, you'd sell through them. But they just kind of go, there's a dog man. It's like they're afraid of it. But but if you put a big ass Dog Man sticker in the window of your shop, people will come in there. Oh, do you have Dog Man here? Yes, we have all the Dog Menses. We keep them in stock. We keep them on deck. Sorry about that. Anyway, yeah. So anyway, talking about like your kids running amok, right? Right, but it's like, hey, welcome to the medicine store. You got medicine? Yeah, here you go. Someone just rooting around on the floor. This purple one looks good. Like you can't run a business like that. See, JRD says a woman used to drop her kids off at a store and then get her nails done for 90 minutes. Now you're babysitting these children. They're not buying anything. They're probably wrecking the displays. And then she pulls up in her car and beeps, and then they leave. And you have nothing to show for that except having to clean up behind them. Shogun says, we got to drag the kid to the LCS even if it's like 20 miles away. That's what's up. Ronaldo says, kids need to be included for sure as they're the next generation to keep the business going. Thank you. How easy is that to like understand, right? It's just like, it seems like that's 101 stuff. I think business owners look at it like this from the standpoint that they usually don't have any money. Shogun goes, hey, you know all that stuff your kids read? Chris says, can you imagine an owner of the medicine store yelling at a customer that medication's no good? That Viagra really wasn't good. Oh, you don't buy that. That's no good. That's trash. Get the other one. This one. Sean Chai says, yes, the kids may not have money, but the parents do, and kids are the main in-person audience. Teens and adults buy online. But hold on, here's another thing. Going back to that, and I think this is super true, is that you there's a lot of times that I think parents, like we said, like look at maybe a shop like that or a collectible store or whatever, is that something that you drop your kids on at. It's kind of like the little horse in front of the supermarket. They don't do that anymore, do they? Yeah, yeah, okay, come on, let's go. Can I get no? Let's go. Right? And it's just a total disregard for the business. And that's just like also like a consumer thing. I just wish people gave more respect to the business of doing this stuff. That's even like, and I'm sure a lot of you guys know this. If it, shout out to anybody that's got a man cave or a she shed, or you got a little shelf with your little things on it, whatever that thing is, you dabble in things that may look juvenile to someone. I love my GI Joe classifieds, whatever it is, and somebody comes into your space, and you're like, oh, I should bring my kids over here. They'd love it in here. No, this isn't for your kids. Put some respect on my imagination. Yo, Omar, salute the general. What's up, brother? I see you out there shining. Put the gold on this man. Put it on him. Thank you, brother. I live alone, Jamar. My whole house is my top kid. Chris says, Chris, you're gonna have to like we're gonna have to tether you to Wednesday nights at 8 p.m. because you need to be in the chat. Also, the price point of a monthly is way out of reach for kids. Wow. Yeah. $5 for 20 pages for $13 for 200 plus pages of a self-contained story. That's a whole other thing. That's a giant other thing. But also, that's also the fallacy, right? And then I even heard it last night. Is that I think the assumption is that kids go to the comic book store. I'm going to balance this, especially because I'm in that world. Chris is in that world that kids read. Kids read. Kids do not buy books. Families buy books. And I've told a lot of you guys in past conversations when I'm doing some sort of event, like a scholastic event or something like that, or even if I'm at a comic book convention, I have my Leon stuff there. A little kid, a 9-year-old, is not coming over to me with a credit card. Their family is coming over to me. It's mom, it's dad, it's the baby stroller, or if I'm in the Pacific Northwest, it's a giant wagon with children's heads popping out of them. And they go, "Oh, tell me about this thing. Ooh, it's a scholastic. Is this? Should we take this home?" It's a family decision. So, um, families buy the stuff for their kids. If you come from a family that reads, you'll probably get books, and kids do enjoy reading if that's a thing. But also, we know that kids don't go to the comic book store because it's not set up for them. The price point's jacked up. It's probably not friendly to them. And also, like JRD says, if you got unattended kids running around in your store, yo, you gotta go. It's not set up for that. Right, I get what you mean, Chris. I meant a parent looking at the price point, $5 for part three of six. No, right. But then also you have people who just wait for the trades, right? It's a whole other thing. It's a whole other thing. Billy Bob says that's like every family gathering. They always want kids in your room, right? Like, oh, go to Billy Bob's room. He's got Naruto figures. Nah, you gotta stay out of. Yo, don't touch my Gundams. And Chris says, are many comic shops carrying manga? My LCS doesn't, but the mall comic shop has shelves and shelves of manga. They're smart. Are LCS is behind the time? No, I think they can't compete with the bookstore because just with the way that stuff comes in the footprint it takes up and how you have to have all of them. A lot of shops just don't have the rack space for that kind of stuff. Like do you have like all the bleaches? Do you have the space to put every bleach on this rack? And then can you sustain having the newest Spy X family and putting it on the thing and making sure it's that seems like a nightmare to me. But the Barnes and Noble can do it. So if you're in a space where there's a bookstore, like a traditional bookstore and a comic book shop, they're not going to fight for that because Barnes and Noble, they got that one, they got that win, they got the dub. Um, it's just I don't think they're behind the times. They can't compete with that now. And I also brought this up last night. There's starting to be kind of book deserts, and I hope you have a library in your area. If you do, support your local library. But if like I know in my area, there's hardly any Barnes and Nobles left. And I know some comic shops are benefiting from that because now they're bringing stuff in that they used to be competing with with Barnes and Noble over, like manga. Well, there's nowhere else in a 5 mile radius kids can go get this stuff, so we should have it. Right. It's bonks. Billy Bob says, I mainly see manga at stores like Barnes and Noble. I have to check if my local one does when I pick up the new Snot Girl issue next week. Shout out to my man Brian Lee O'Malley. Snot Girl's back on the menu, boys. Chris says, but manga's selling more than all right. Let's not go down this road. Let's not go down this road. Y'all should have been in the chat last night. Right? It's just like, and I'm sure the rent at the mall is already crazy. And it's just like, it's great to have it, but if no one's buying it, it's taking up space and it's got to go. And TZ says, okay, but isn't this part of the problem? Everything is part 3 and 6. I feel like more 70s and 80s comics could be complete, satisfying chunks. Everything feels like a one act in a TV show and not an episode. That's super true. But also, isn't that our fault? Because a lot of people say they're waiting for the trade. You know that, Tom. Like, I would love to see the numbers of people who would get like the Love and Capes periodical, or the people that get the trade paperback. You know what I mean? I think it's just that people's buying habits have changed, their reading habits have changed, and I know the appeal of even short stories, right? It used to be like, here's the thing, but now I don't want to lose anybody today. Chris says the publishers still use the monthlies, pay it off, make back the money, output, then sell as a trade for more money. They're still afraid to put out original graphic novels. True that. Yeah, it's very interesting, right? And isn't that how it always works? That everybody wants to be in a race to be second. Nobody wants to stick their neck out and do something original. TZ says Love and Capes came out every 3 months. It was designed to be a solid amount of reading. The trade sold better overall, but I could get a congoer to take a $5 flyer on a new thing. Shogun says I am so far out of the loop of modern comics. Well, they still make them, and there's a lot. Where are we here? I'm like halfway through this mug, and we've been talking for an hour. That's one of the things I love about Coffee Break is like we just don't know where this is going. Like I was going to talk about something that didn't happen. That's fine. We talked about comic shops. So here's the thing, because we're all talking this hot take about comic book stores. How many of y'all actually go to comic book stores? And this actually came up last night with Joe. He had said that somebody asked, "What's the best way to support a comic shop?" He said, "Come to the comic shop and bring somebody with you." Are you actively promoting your comic shop? And this, I mean, you don't have to answer this because maybe this is too personal, but it's like shops close all the time. Fat Jack's, rest in peace, Fat Jack's Comic Crypt, one of the oldest comic book stores in Philadelphia, is gone. There's another satellite store in Jersey that doesn't count. I didn't even know they were. I mean, they've been going out of business for a decade, but finally, and this is what's going on in Center City, Philly. The landlord, I think, was just ready to push them out and like quadruple their rent or something like that. And they're like, we gotta go. And they were going so fast, no one could even come support them. So when you hear things like that, Or next you go into the shop and Ricky's like, this is tough, man. I don't know what we're gonna do. We might have to blah blah blah. What are you doing about it? Is that somebody else's problem? Is that your 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 Peter Parker in the hallway when the thieves running towards the elevator? Is that your moment to go, hey, that's not my problem? But did you get my Walt Simonson Thor thing I asked for? Yeah, yeah, man. Here. And then when they're gone in 5 months, you're like, oh, they closed. Oh, I guess I got to find a new comic shop. We all have a hand in this, especially if you're like, besides that being your hangout or that's the thing you do, are you pushing other people into this hobby? That's, I say that all the time, but even about kids books and kids things like that. It's like when I'm doing my pitch to get people to buy Leon and people were like, oh, oh, I don't have kids. Like it's bigger than that. I'm sure you know a child somewhere. Get them this book because it's good for them. Are you sending people to your local comic shop? Oh, I don't go to that one. The other place has better magic cards, right? That place is going to be gone soon. All right, let me go back to the chat. I'm sorry, you guys. I tried to get off of this topic, but I guess we're talking about comic book stores. I can't read everything. Chris says, I wait for trades now too. See, I still feel monthlies are an antiquated idea. It's also cheaper to buy a trade than 6 issues at $5 each. But if nobody buys the issues, are they still going to make the trade? Steven says, I buy some books monthly, but others I'll read an issue or two and then buy the trade. Joseph says, I'm sure the shop at the mall is probably forced to keep mall hours. If this mall shop and not a strip store, yes. Chris says, the closest shop to me is an hour away. I used to have 3 stores near me and they all closed years ago. Plus, I don't like modern comics because I'm old. Respect. Music and comics ended in the early 90s. Oh, no, Chris. I feel you. Steven says, I spend a cool Benji on comics monthly. Different budget for the conventions where I meet the creators, fulfill lifelong comic dreams. Yes, you do. Just speaking of comic book stores, oh yeah, man, Yagams, you're a good man, sir. Hello. I can't remember how this works. So, oh yeah, comics is that Art or is that Mark? I can't remember who behind that one. Speaking of comics, our good buddy, the George Clooney of comics, Art Baltazar, as well as Franco, uh, kind of own a bunch of comic book stores. Oh yeah, comics in Harrison, New York, Skokie, Illinois, and lovely Muncie, Indiana. Been, I haven't been to Skokie yet. We got to fix that. So, you guys could tell us about how the comic book shop runs these days. Sunshine said, my safe local comic shop shut down during the pandemic. Haven't found another one I feel comfortable in it yet. Yeah, that's a shame. Good night, Omar. Oh yeah, comics is Art Franco and Mark Hammond. Oh yeah, sirs. Now I have this vision of all 3 of you trying to type at the same time. Um, Chris says they should only make trades. You hear that, you guys? So if they only make trades, then you're waiting a year and change for something to come out because you don't have that monthly dopamine hit. You won't have to wait until the whole thing's finished. Can you do that? That's what happens in traditional book publishing. You wait a year for the next one to come out. Maybe in Dave Pilkey's case, you wait every 6 months for the next one to come out. But do you think that the modern comic book fan can deal with those kind of wait times? Christoph says, I have like 0 local friends in the comics, but now I've decided to turn a visit to a comic shop part of spending good time with friends, but I have to bribe them with the promise of beer. Now, Christoph's a good friend of mine, and he was in town, and another good friend of mine. We went to the comic shop, and it was all love in the comic shop. Shout out to Uncanny, the King of Prussia Mall, where everybody walked out of there with something in their hands, and I think that's dope, right? I also know maybe the last bastions of this being like a kind of like a shameful hobby is like that's something you do under the guise of darkness. You slide up into the comic shop, you get your pulls and get out of there before anybody sees you, right? And I don't think, I mean, it's not like you're going to the bar. Maybe that's a thing. Maybe you need beer and comics. Maybe that's the next phase, like a barcade. Maybe you need a comic lounge or something like that. I don't know. But that's like you slide in there, you get your shit, you get out of there. And that's when you always hear these things like, "Oh man," you talk to the shop owner, "Man, wow, they're like lawyers and doctors and dentists come in here and they get the stuff and they leave." They don't want to talk to you. They want to get out of here before someone sees them. But if you are thinking, "Hey, I want to go to the," well, also you go to the mall, you're like, "I'm gonna go to the comic shop." Trying to bring wifey into the comic shop probably won't work. But again, things have changed over the years. Um, Steven says, "I saw a comic shop with a bar in the back when I visited Orlando." That was probably for them. I'm just reading the comments. There's so much stuff going on in this chat. Yo, it's already been an hour. I like that. That's the name of our new comic shop. I've never been on Ontario Street. I know where it is though. It's on Ontario Street. Guys, did the Waringos go to sleep? I want to do a Sue's post before we get out of here. Yo, Matt and or Sue's, please check in so I can do this. And thank you guys for hanging out with us. I had no idea this is what we're going to talk about. Speaking of, Chris is like, "Oh, I just remembered I have a webpage strip in Web of Spider Verse. Go buy it." Yes, Chris, go buy that. Congrats. Oh no. Sue's tapped out. Well, I don't do a Sue's pose if Sue's isn't here for it. So next time. Sure, D, you actually bought that. All right, we're gonna have to do something about that. So I guess the end of this is to say that everybody has an opinion about the business of comics. Everybody has an opinion about how to get things into other people's hands. Um, Hold on, Tom. I have that comment for you. And I think also we can be conduits for saving the hobby. And I'm going to keep saying that. I can't, I'm not going to do my Leon shill tonight. I'm not going to put that on the screen because I've already gone over. But if you have in your neighborhood one of those little library posts somewhere in your neighborhood, and you have books sitting around in your massive studio, put some of those in the library. Age appropriate, of course, right? I know there's some people on Halloween who give out comic books to the trick or treaters. Like we have to do a little bit more to keep this thing going. It's more. It's a lot more than some thinking that's somebody else's problem. That's somebody else's robber running for the elevator with the with the bag that you're not going to stop. We all have to do something about it. So when I'm doing my Leon shill and I'm like, maybe don't buy it for you, buy it for the kids down the street. Buy a couple of them and leave them in the barber shop. You know what I mean? Buy some of them and give them to, that house down the block where the lady's got 5 sons. Give them a couple of copies. That's how we keep this going, you know. And it doesn't have to cost a lot. There's ways to go around it. Free comic book day, go to your shop, get some books, Give them to kids and don't keep them. That's how you fall in love with comics. Remember the first time somebody showed you a comic book, or you saw it on a rack and it was glowing and you had to have it. That's how that starts. But I don't think it's easy like it used to be to find it yourself. Somebody's got to help you. TZ says, I do the comic trick or treat thing and drop extra books in the lint. See, he knows what's up. Also, the Ghost Whiskers was a straight to trade book, so now you all need to buy it. All right, guys. So, what did you think of that? Was that a good episode of Coffee Break? Let me know, and we're going to start wrapping this up. This was good. Had a nice blend in here. Oh, shout out to to Vaughn Bodie. Go back. You know what? In the deep, deep archives of Pencil to Pencil, we interviewed Mark Bodie, who is Vaughn's son, who Mark's a good friend of mine and is carrying on the legacy of the Cheech Wizard and all of those wacky characters. Man, such a fantastic person. Oh, no problem, Chris. This was great. I'm glad we all got something to talk about. This was part coffee break, part P2P extension. I like that. Don't make me do that. I'll totally do it. Shogun says, sometimes I wonder if Western comics couldn't lift some stuff like manga, like anthologies to try new stuff and maybe longer quarterly books. Yes, and that stuff exists, but it's kind of like somebody's got to tell you about it, right? Like this, like even when people say, "Hey, I wish there was a book for like kids who like somebody used common sense," like I did that. Well, so now the next part of the heavy lifting is making people aware that it exists. I can't tell you how much easier my job is when I go into a school for a school visit and the kids have actually read the book. Like, does that sound like that's mind blowing? I go in cold to a lot of places and I spend most of the time trying to explain what this thing is. But I have such a different experience when I show up and they're excited and they're holding their books and we can have fun and I can do some deep diving because they know what I'm talking about. Right? That's on us. That's on us to pass this stuff along. I don't know what we're talking about, but um, come on, Jared, dude, that's not fair. So, all right. All right, you guys, I'm going to start getting out of here. Guys, thank you so much for your time. If you guys know the schedule of JNN, Jamar Nicholas Network programming, that this week, every week is Pencil to Pencil if we can help it. Wednesdays, 8 p.m. EST. Coffee Break with JN is every fortnight, every other week, 8 p.m. EST. So that means next week, which I think is my birthday week, I will not be on here, but you can catch me. Hold on, I got to get my Johns ready. Get your Johns ready. You can catch me on Patreon doing It Ain't Hard to Tell with my good buddy Mike Hawthorne. Yes, that Mike Hawthorne of Batman and Deadpool and your favorite comic book fame. We do a bi-weekly AMA, Ask Me Anything. So that's why I don't do Coffee Break every week because I'm flip-flopping. And all your dreams come true on my Patreon, so consider joining it. Why don't you? All right, guys, let's do it. I went long pause. Thank you. So it's Pisces energy. So thank you, Chris. Thank you, Joseph. Thanks, Billy Bob. Thanks, everybody that showed up for tonight. This was a kind of like a low-key episode, but I think it went really well. Also, talking about spread the word. Tell your friends about Coffee Break. Don't hoard me. Don't keep me all to yourselves. Pass this along. Share this stuff so I can grow my audience. I can get some more patrons in my Patreon. For Pete's sake. All right, that's right. Let's take it home. Say goodnight, John boy. All right, let's do the thing. You've been watching. You've been watching Coffee Break with JN with your boy JN. I haven't seen that in a while. I make dreams come true. I also wear many hats, as you guys know, all the time. Some people ask me, "How do you do it? How do you do?" I don't know. I think some of it's undiagnosed ADHD, but it also comes from a good place, a good heart. All right. So, like I said, I have many nicknames. I will give you some. From wrestling parlance, John Cena, who just turned heel. Uh, Johnny Carson. That's wild stuff. Uh, I got to do this one for Ronaldo. Philly Seymour Hoffman. Oh, we don't do Kirby hands here, Joseph. That's on the other thing. Thank you, Sean Philly Sousa. I love it, Chris. Thank you. Um, and also the captain of this ship, John Luke Picard. I gotta get up. There are four Johns. That's right, the Geordie verse. What happened here tonight? You got to hang out with your boy JN, and we chopped it up real fine into a fine, fine dice. And you watch me drink a cup of coffee and run my mouth. Now that I'm out of coffee, yo, it's so good to see Trey back. So we woke up Hicks. See you soon. Join my Patreon.